The Star Wars universe is one of the most popular and well-loved settings to ever be conceived by a human being. Its lore, history, background, trivia, etc., are all aspects that have attracted fans from around the globe. With the recent addition of The Force Awakens to the Star Wars setting, the fanbase has been thrown into a frenzy of hard-pressed speculation. This speculation has mostly revolved around the new protagonist Rey, and the antagonist, the mysterious, Supreme Leader Snoke. Both characters have been center points for continuous and ongoing discussions amongst fans. Most of these discussions concern who these two characters may be, where they may come from, or what their motivations are, especially concerning the Supreme Leader. Among other things, Supreme Leader Snoke is a mysterious figure whose background is currently not known among the masses. Only the official higher-ups, who are in control of such things, could possibly have the answers to the burning questions so many have been asking. However, some speculation and thought on the side of the fans themselves is harmless and all in good fun and spirit. Even if it's a vain or futile attempt to uncover some of these perplexing mysteries that have been put before us, I'd like to present my theory on who Supreme Leader Snoke may be. So, who, or what exactly, is Snoke?
Essential lore and speculation.
I don't understand.
In order to fully understand this theory, there are some aspects about the Star Wars universe's lore that one should be made aware of. They are the pieces that compose the makeup of this entire theory. It should also be noted that every piece of media mentioned beyond this point is canon and in continuity with the films. Unless I specify otherwise, all stories and sources mentioned beyond this point do in fact exist alongside the Star Wars films. This is a fact. Countless millennia in the past, long before the Republic, before the Sith, even before the Jedi, there existed a race of beings known as Force Wielders. These immensely powerful, ancient beings held power over the Force like none had seen before. Three of these beings were known as the Son, the Daughter, and the Father. In the future, their home, known as Mortis, was encountered by three unsuspecting Jedi, where they encountered many wonders, and the Force Wielders, who each represented the dark, the light, and balance.
The Chosen One will remain to keep my children in balance.
It is here, where Anakin Skywalker was put to the test by the Father, to see if he truly was the Chosen One.
I should very much like to know. It is time to face your guilt and know the truth.
Skywalker was successfully able to control both the Father's children, both the light and the dark, passing the test, and proving he was indeed the Chosen One. But it all seemed so unreal, altogether dreamlike. But what if it wasn't? We must analyze the beings encountered by the Jedi, the three inhabitants of Mortis. What some would call the Ones,
Hello.
Who are you?
I am daughter.
The daughter, who clearly represents the light side. The sun, the dark.
We will destroy the Sith!
And the father, who of course, represents balance and maintains control over the two.
A family in balance, the light and the dark. Day with night. Destruction replaced by creation.
And so, we have our Force-wielding family, each a branch of the ever-mysterious power of the Force. Now that we understand who the ones are, as people, what does this have to do with Supreme Leader Snoke? I am proposing that one of three of this family is in fact our mysterious leader. At the very least, Snoke may be the same species or the same type of being as them, if he is not one of them himself. Let's take a look at the ones again. From the start, Snoke obviously cannot be the daughter, as the daughter is female, and we know that Snoke is male. The daughter is also confirmed to have died in the process of saving the father's life from the son. This eliminates the daughter and makes it obvious that Snoke is not her. However, it may be worth noting that Snoke was possibly going to be female at one point. Next, is the son. The son does seem to resemble Snoke to a capacity. He is the same gender. Both are bald and pale of skin, though the son is much more pale and gray than Snoke is. Both have outfits with flared collars, and both have allegiances to the dark side of the Force.
Tired of waiting! I hate you!
Kylo Ren. It appears that a reminder is in order. So I will show you the dark side. Bring the girl to me.
It's quite obvious that Snoke draws upon the dark side of the Force, and it's a source of power in his cabinet. However, we know that the son is dead as well, like his sister. Both of these two were murdered when the trio of Jedi visited their realm. They both died due to many unfortunate events.
And so you have betrayed me, Father.
The son is probably not our leader.
A family in balance, the light and the dark.
It is where you are from, what you are made of. The dark side and the light.
At last, we come to the Father. Could this be our Snoke? Could he be our mysterious Supreme Leader? Let's take a look at both of these characters on the surface. Concerning their physical appearances, it's known that both of these two are breathtaking in height. This is of course a natural thing for the father, as his children share the same uncanny resemblance of being extremely tall. It seems to be a common feature among these types of beings. Snoke is cited at being around 7 feet in height, and we can clearly see and verify this. The father is cited as being 2.48 meters in height, which would translate over to around 8 feet. The father would be a full foot taller than Snoke. However, this listing of height for the father most likely refers directly to the height of the animation model itself, which would include the father's hat into the height equation. The father is probably around the same height as Snoke, if we were to remove his hat. Even still, their heights don't have to match up perfectly, and Snoke's exact height is not known. He has only been stated to be around 7 feet, while in a casual conversation with Mr. Andy Serkis. it could have been ad-libbed. We can conclude that both the father and Snoke are of great height. This is a basic parallel. However, what other traits do the father and Snoke share physically? Well, both are male, this much is clear. Both are most obviously not human beings.
Seated on the raised platform that was the focus of the chamber was the blue-tinted hollow of Supreme Leader Snoke. Tall and gaunt, he was humanoid but not human.
We have already established that the father belongs to the race of beings known as Force Wielders. He is not human either. When looking at Snoke's appearance in The Force Awakens, he and the father share some similar tastes in clothing. However, in The Last Jedi, Snoke has upped his game. But clothes can be changed. The father has a beard, and Snoke does not. But his hair could have fallen out, or he could have shaved. Concerning their hair even further, both Snoke and the father clearly have white hair. We can tell from the father's prominent beard, and Snoke's brow. Another curious tidbit. While coming off the set of The Last Jedi, actor Andy Serkis was spotted wearing a fake beard while in his motion capture outfit for playing Snoke. Could we bear witness to any flashback sequences that show Snoke at some point during his past life as the father? Another similarity one could have noticed between the two is the color of their eyes. Both are blue. The father's eyes seem to have black eyeballs besides his pupil. There could be an in-universe reason for this change. Or, as our Lucasfilm Story Group friend, Pablo Hidalgo, likes to state, it's an artifact of the medium. Meaning that things can differ somewhat between live action, animation, and vice versa. Though this is obviously just his opinion. We know that characters have undergone changes between different mediums of stories before. This case could be another example of changes happening. Perhaps when creating Snoke, the filmmakers wanted him to have a slight difference in eye color than his original appearance as the father. Merely for artistic reasons or personal preference and interpretation. The same could be said about their skin color, though the father does seem to have lighter, pinkish-looking skin in lighter areas similar to Snoke. As I said, there could be lore reasons for any minor differences, or they could be attributed to the filmmaker's artistic preference with how they would like to portray the character. But, by the will of the Force, the immortal Mistress of Death strikes once more. This time on our beloved father. Yes, just like his children, the father was killed when the band of Jedi entered their home. There is, however, a curious thing about the father's death. A blink and you'll miss it moment. Our bearded friend vanishes right before us, into nothing. We will come back to this.
Number 2. Looking deeper.
Look deeper. You will find another way.
Though the two share some physical features, to an extent, this is not sufficient justification to claim they are the same being. We're going to have to analyze things on another level, and see how their existence corresponds to existing continuity. Further background of lore will be required, and this section of the video, and beyond, will rely on heavier speculation.
Tell me what is going on here.
Some call us Force Wielders.
Force Wielders, tall, divine beings, ancient, and mysterious.
The Jedi have never spoken of this.
Few still know of our existence.
Only a few in the galaxy still knew of their existence. But who are these few?
There are some who would like to exploit our power. The Sith are but one.
Some wish to use their power, one faction being the Sith. But why? Let's delve into it. The question we'll start with is, who are these few the Father speaks of, that still knew of their existence, in modern times? We can obviously eliminate the Jedi, as Anakin says,
The Jedi have never spoken of this.
making it clear they didn't have knowledge of them. The Sith, however, likely do.
Not from a Jedi.
We can infer this from the Father.
There are some who would like to exploit our power. The Sith are but one.
But this will be covered later. What other factions could potentially know about the Force wielders? One that may stand out are the Wills. This ancient order of beings recorded all significant events in the galaxy, and even did so sometime after the events of the Galactic Civil War.
At last it is time. I have heard every version of the story, viewed every holocron, and studied every artifact. A lifetime of preparation has readied me for this noble duty. May the Force be with me as I begin the sacred task of writing in the Journal of the Wills. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Well, I mean, it's not really that far away, is it?
What are you talking about?
Far, far away? I'm saying it's far, but not far, far. I mean, if anything, I'd say it's a long, long time ago in a galaxy far away.
Yeah, well, the rest of the Wills asked me to write this, not you, so it's going to say, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It is a period of civil war.
A period? Wow, you really like to keep things vague, don't you?
Good grief. What do you want me to put? It's a Thursday afternoon of civil war?
No, that's stupid. Maybe the problem is that passive voice. It is a... kind of weak. You should really start with an action verb.
It's the first sentence, dude. If you nitpick every single sentence of this journal, we aren't even going to get to the battles.
All right, fine, keep it. Could be better, but...
Rebel spaceships striking from a hidden base have won their first victory against the evil Galactic Empire.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. The Empire and the Rebels?
Yeah?
Already? What about the Republic?
What about it?
You're just gonna skip over the Republic. Don't tell me you're skipping the Clone Wars and all of that stuff.
Well, yeah.
Well, what about Anakin and Padme and the sand and...
I figured I could just sort of make some mysterious references to all that.
Mysterious references? What about Darth Maul? He's just gonna be a mysterious reference?
Actually, I'm not sure. I wasn't really planning on mentioning him.
Not mention Darth Maul? Darth Maul?
No.
Oh, next you're gonna tell me that you were planning to mention Captain Rex, Ahsoka, Ventress, Cad Bane, Savage Press, Jar Jar Binks, and the Mandalorians.
Well, I guess I could always go back and tell their stories later.
Out of order? That's just gonna confuse everybody.
I think they'll figure it out.
Uh-huh, right.
While this is a parody, it makes it clear that the Wills are aware of various important galactic events in the canon, and have recorded them in their journal. It is highly unlikely that this group is not aware of the Force wielders. But what significance do these beings have, and what point am I trying to make with any of this? Well, the Wills seemingly have the ability to manifest themselves, and retain their consciousness after their deaths. This is a well-known technique known as becoming what one would call a Force ghost. Yoda has even called it a path to immortality.
An old friend has learned the path to immortality.
This old friend Yoda speaks of is, of course, Qui-Gon Jinn, the one Jedi, during the Age of the Republic, to seek out this archaic technique, through a shaman of the Wills. Qui-Gon then passed this information on to Yoda after death, and Obi-Wan later. This wise man sought out knowledge the Jedi would not have.
Impossible. Perhaps the archives are incomplete.
And they did not have it, because the Wills learned this technique from the Force wielders themselves. Ancient and forgotten beings that the Jedi did not know. How the Jedi did not know of the Force wielders, I cannot say, but I have a strong feeling that Qui-Gon was the only Jedi to become aware of them.
You still have much to learn, my young apprentice.
Likely through his encounter with the Wills, perhaps reading from their journal, and discovering their existence. This is why he appeared to Obi-Wan on Mortis, the home of the Force wielders, and informed him about it. He had knowledge of it, and the Force wielders beforehand, from the Wills.
Obi-Wan, have you done as I asked? Have you trained the boy?
Master Qui-Gon, how are you here?
I am here because you are here.
I don't understand. What is this place?
Unlike any other, a conduit through which the entire force of the universe flows.
Are we in danger?
This planet is both an amplifier and a magnet. 3 are here who seek Skywalker. They, like me, believe him to be the chosen one.
Essentially, there is a lineage of power here, beings who are chosen, and are worthy to gain access to a part of the Force wielders' amazing power of immortality. So it has been, since the days of forgotten times, and as far-reaching as the era of the Galactic Civil War. But who was left out of this lineage? What greedy, maniacal religion would be denied access to such immense power? What evil cult, responsible for the deaths of countless lives across the galaxy throughout its history, would not be allowed to possess such responsibility? Which lightning-fingered maniacs, what red-bladed, genocidal murderers, would absolutely not be granted a deeper understanding on the Force, and the mystery of life and immortality?
There are some who would like to exploit our power. The Sith are but one.
Number 3. Sith Search.
Venture courageously and scrupulously into the depths of truth, no matter the consequences.
Darth Sidious, the face of the Sith. Senator of Naboo. Chancellor of the Republic. The Emperor of the Galactic Empire. This man has been a cancer on the galaxy ever since his rise to power. But beyond being the ultimate evil, what was his motivation? Why did he need a galaxy-spanning empire?
Palpatine was a smart man. We must emulate his path. The Emperor knew the dark side was his savior. And so we too must make the dark side ours. We must move toward the dark side. Palpatine felt that the universe beyond the edges of our maps was where his power came from.
Yukteshu is correct. Sidious was searching for the source of his power, the source of the dark side. He believed that this would be his savior, a power that could sustain him eternally and grant him immortality. But there is a key figure here that we are ignoring, that is obviously related to this grand scheme.
Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Darth Plagueis himself, the midichlorian manipulator, an important figure in canon, who supposedly could manipulate life itself.
Darth Plagueis was a dark lord of the Sith, so powerful and so wise, he could use the Force to influence the midichlorians to create life.
And strive for immortality. though he could not uncover the secret in time, before he was killed by Sidious. Before this tragedy, him and a young Sidious would strive to uncover the technique together, as master and apprentice, attempting to unlock the final secrets of the dark side, and obtain eternal life. Eventually, this plan would be used by the Emperor, to be carried out by him and Vader together. This would be done with a series of rituals that would take place underneath the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, within the ancient Sith shrine underneath.
Save for Sidious, no sentient being in close to 5,000 years had set foot in the shrine. The room's excavation and restoration had been carried out by machines under the supervision of 114D. Even Vader was unaware of the shrine's existence, but it was here that they would one day work together the way Sidious and Plagueis had, to coax from the dark side its final secrets. In the intervening years, he had actually come to appreciate Plagueis for the planner and prophet he had been. Such perilous machinations required two Sith, one to serve as bait for the dark side, the other to be the vessel. Success would grant them the power to harness the full powers of the dark side and allow them to rule for 10,000 years.
The Empire was the Emperor's tool, a tool that would allow him to search the galaxy physically for some source of his power, with vast resources, and a regime that would let him experiment freely and spiritually for this same goal, to unlock secrets of the dark side that would allow the Sith, similarly to the Jedi, and especially like the Force wielders, to exist as immortal beings. In order to discover galactic-sized secrets, one must have galactic-level resources. After his death, the Empire would continue his work, and follow his plan, retreating into unknown space, and searching for this source of power.
Over the many years, he, with our aid, sent men and women beyond known space. They built labs and communication stations on distant moons, asteroids, out there in the wilds. We must follow them, retreat from the galaxy, go out beyond the veil of stars. We must seek the source of the dark side, like a man looking for a wellspring of water.
And so, it would be done. Could this secret of the Force, that would otherwise be denied to the Sith, could it have been discovered by the Empire? What would they have found if this endeavor was successful? The Emperor, with his vast resources, built outposts and stations, such as his observatories, to peer into the unknown of space, to look for any anomalies that could lead him to his goal. The source of the dark side. Where could this be found? Where is this wellspring of water that Teshu speaks of? We must look back to Mortis and the Force wielders.
Deep within this planet exists a place where all that is dark is channeled. The well of the dark side.
Could this be what Sidious was after, the well of the dark side? This place, where all that is dark, is channeled. This domain inside of Mortis, itself, the home of the Force wielders? We know that Mortis is a powerful Force nexus, the strongest one known in both the dark and the light sides.
What is this place?
Unlike any other, a conduit through which the entire force of the universe flows.
The well of the dark side is no doubt a source of the dark power within Mortis, a place where all that is dark is channeled. Could you imagine what one such as Sidious could become if he drew on such a source of power?
This planet is both an amplifier and a magnet.
Such a prominent Force nexus? Mortis very well could have been the goal of Darth Sidious, though he could not discover it in time, physically, or spiritually. It is not clear on exactly where Mortis is. It was encountered in wild space by Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka, but it seemingly has the ability to appear wherever it wishes, and is mobile. This is likely why Sidious constructed multiple observatories, pointing in various directions in unknown space, to attempt and catch where it may be, at any moment. Mortis is also, however, a spiritual plane, so Sidious would also attempt to contact it via meditation, with the aid of Vader, in the Sith shrine underneath the Jedi Temple, putting them in a sleep-like state similar to when the trio of Jedi entered it. One really has to ask, why would one such as Sidious, an emperor, who desired no heir, or successor, why would he take on someone as powerful, as Anakin, as an apprentice? A potential threat? It has been stated in the Tarkin novel, that it requires 2 Sith, to unlock the final secrets of the dark side.
Such perilous machinations required 2 Sith, one to serve as bait for the dark side, the other to be the vessel.
This is reason enough on the surface, but is there something more to the relationship of Sidious and Anakin?
Cannot sleep. To strike an unarmed man is hardly the Jedi way.
You're a Sith Lord.
You have a very simple view of the universe. I am neither Sith nor Jedi. I am much more. And so are you.
The Father is correct. Anakin is much more. More than just a man. Much more than a Jedi. He is a Force wielder. He is like them, and by extension, has their immense power. But he never reached his potential. A being that is born, and one with the Force itself.
The Force is unusually strong with him. That much is clear. Who was his father?
There was no father.
Not merely the Chosen One, but the Chosen One of the Ones. This is why the Father wished for Anakin to replace him.
I am dying, and you must replace me.
Sidious knew the nature of Skywalker, and sought to exploit it. This is why he goaded him into joining him as Vader. The power within Anakin would serve the Sith. But what power specifically did Sidious lust after that Anakin had? Not only are the Force wielders immortal, but by extension, they have an extensive mastery over life and death.
Number 4. Revival.
The longer we stay here, the stranger this place gets.
What did you notice about this shot? What stood out to you? What is happening? Let's take another look.
The longer we stay here, the stranger this place gets.
It appears the planet is renewing herself.
Obi-Wan is correct. Mortis, the planet, is renewing its state. Life is being created here, casually, and on a massive, supposedly, planetary scale. This is because of the sheer power of the Force wielders.
It is only here that I can control them. A family in balance, the light and the dark. Day with night. Destruction replaced by creation.
The plants go from a dead, spiritual-like state, similar to the result of the will teachings that the Force wielders showed them, to a renewed physical form, once again alive and thriving. This is the amazing power the Force wielders hold, and the same power that is dormant within Skywalker.
My daughter! What have I done?
Do not hate him, Father. It is his nature.
No. All is lost. The balance has been broken. I thought by bringing you here I would... But I have destroyed everything.
Can you help her?
There is no light. The evil has been unleashed, and the dark side shall consume her.
You must help her!
I cannot undo what is done. There is no hope.
Yes, there is. There's always hope.
Then let my daughter's last act be to breathe life into your friend.
Hey, Snips.
What's going on?
Not much. It's good to see you.
While he clearly had help from the father and the daughter, Anakin had a part in Ahsoka's revival. But he could not do it on his own, since his potential at that point had not yet been realized. Sidious knew Anakin held this potential for power, and wanted it for himself.
If we work together, I know we can discover the secret.
A source that could sustain his life force, even after death, if need be. But, after Skywalker's unfortunate injuries at Mustafar, his spirit was broken, his potential lost. He became confined to being a tool that would enforce the Emperor's rule, and to eventually help try to find Mortis. But nothing more. His dark nature cut him off from his gift. Despite not reaching his full potential, as a Force wielder, Skywalker was still able to reach a form of immortality, under the will technique, that the Wills learned from the Force wielders, due to his sacrifice and selfless act of saving his son. Becoming a Force ghost is something that would come naturally to him, due to his nature, as this power originates from the Force wielders. But wait, if one such as Anakin is able to reach this state so easily, what of the other Force wielders? Despite the son already being physically immortal, I do not think he would be able to return from death, due to his choice to descend into the dark side, and his selfish nature. Selflessness is a vital trait, to be allowed to walk this path. We know this from the mysterious Force priestesses, who began Yoda's own journey down the path to immortality. The Force priestesses are very wise, and very well may be Wills themselves, though they seem to be on a much higher level of understanding than a typical Force ghost.
Yoda.
Who is there?
Yoda.
Traveled far, I have. Looking for those who can teach me.
The question is, are you worthy of being taught?
They are even able to create life, like the Force wielders, and death. It is confirmed through this magnificent presence, that selflessness is a key to access the gift of immortality, given by the Force wielders.
Why him?
He is to teach one that will save the universe from a great imbalance. For this, the great gift will be his.
But this is besides the point. Being selfless is the key.
At death, in order for you to preserve your identity, you must know yourself, your true self, and then let go.
We also have many examples of this actually happening, in practice. Essentially, from 3 mortal beings and 1 demigod. All were selfless in the end. All gained immortality. So, what of the daughter and the father? We know that the daughter valiantly gave her life to save her father. She even went a step further and helped to revive Ahsoka. Immense acts of selflessness. So what became of her? Did she persist after death, like Anakin and the Jedi? The answer is yes. Though not as a mere Force ghost, since she is a fully realized Force wielder, and much more powerful than mere mortals. The daughter can be spotted in various episodes of Star Wars Rebels, choosing to appear as a species of bird, known as converse.
We can take many forms.
But, beyond the daughter and this mysterious bird having a similar color scheme, how do we know this is her? In an interview with Mr. Dave Filoni, we are told that this bird appearing where it does, is not an accident. The bird especially seems to be fond of Ahsoka, because of a connection that may have been established between the two when she helped to revive her. Ahsoka may have also been set down a path to a familiar place by her, after her duel with Vader. But this is a theory, for another time. The most damning piece of evidence that the Conver is the daughter, however, is that Filoni states that he loves the idea of this Conver being an avatar, and that it is in fact an avatar of a being we have seen in animated Star Wars material before. I do not believe there can be any other conclusion. This Conver is the daughter. She has returned from death, as a physical being, due to her power as a Force wielder, and having mastery over life. So now, what of the father?
Do not hate him, Father. It is his nature.
No. All is lost.
The father of Mortis, a man who wanted nothing but good for his family and the universe.
But I have destroyed everything.
But in the end, everything he loved was taken from him. In his final moments, he sacrificed his own life to spare the universe of his son's wrath.
It did not have to be this way! Yes, my child. It did. You and I are tied together. And your strength runs through me. This way, I take your power.
Please, don't die.
I always knew there was good in you.
So you have betrayed me, Father.
Yet another selfless soul, like his daughter. Before his last breath, his body vanishes, like that of the will technique performed by Jedi, originally created by the Force wielders. It is also entirely intentional that his body vanished. Where could such a powerful being go? The answer, at this point, should be clear. he came back. He witnessed the rise and fall of the Empire with his powerful foresight, as well as those fateful and private moments that occurred within the Emperor's throne room. He saw the corruption and flawed path of the Republic, as well as the Jedi, and experienced the Jedi's influence personally, in his own home. As a result, he lost his loved ones, his entire life. The Empire set out to continue Sidious's goal of finding the source of the dark side, perhaps inside of Mortis. Instead, they found the Father. Out there in the void, they found their new leader, their new supreme leader. And now, the Father found new tools to bring order to a galaxy of conflict. His heart broken, his view changed. Another victim to the call of the dark side, of which no one is immune.
Your destiny can change just as quickly as the love in one's heart can fade. Nothing is set in stone.
Number 5. Vader lives.
You have to earn your mask.
Now that we know who Snoke is, we must ask the same question that we asked for Sidious. Why would he take on an apprentice? Though in this case, it involves no Sith and Ben Solo, rather than Anakin Skywalker, the grandson of our Force-wielding Chosen One. Family is a powerful aspect of Star Wars indeed. Literally. The Skywalkers are the centerpiece of it all. As Anakin had powerful Force-wielder blood flowing through his veins, he passed this lineage on through his children, and by extension, his gift. His children, specifically Leia, then passed it on again to her son, Ben Solo. But Ben has more in common with his grandfather than merely sharing the same power. In fact, Ben Solo is the same person. Ben Solo is Anakin, back from the dead. At this point, the nature of the Force wielders should be known. They are capable of returning to the physical world in a new form after a selfless sacrifice. Some might call it reincarnation. And as we know, Anakin was a Force wielder. Though since he did not realize his full potential, it likely took him much longer to return to a physical state. Unlike the father and the daughter, who did it much earlier, Star Wars is a story about the Chosen One, and this being has returned. The prophecy has not yet been fully fulfilled. While the Sith have been destroyed, the Force is still not in balance. And this is because the one being, who literally represented balance of the Force, has been thrown out of it. Snoke, the Father. The Father has taken the one being, who is meant to destroy him, and has twisted him to his side, planning to use him, and his power, to heal the injuries he has sustained. Though I admit, these are difficult to explain. Perhaps they are a holdover from when the Father originally said he was dying.
I am dying, and you must replace me.
And he cannot draw on the awesome power of the healing abilities of the light side, since he has fallen too far, cut off from his gift. Similarly to Anakin as Vader, Snoke is grooming Ben to be a tool of both the light and the dark, able to control both, as he knows Ben is Anakin, and this is what he originally intended for him, on Mortis. After he came back, Snoke knew that Anakin would return as well, but he wasn't the only one who knew. A fanatical group, known as the Acolytes of the Beyond, rose up some months after the events of Return of the Jedi. Their mantra, Vader lives, was spread across the galaxy. Teshu, advisor to Sidious, may have been the creator of this cult. Sidious possibly informed Teshu of Anakin's nature as a Force wielder. And so, Teshu knew Anakin, Vader, would possibly return. One acolyte, known as Oblivion, has even stated that death isn't the end when discussing Vader to a police officer on Corellia.
Vader lives, you say? Last I heard, he went up with the Death Star. Boom. He's dead. If he was ever even alive. Empire's falling apart. And it wouldn't be if he was still around, don't you think? Death isn't the end. Last I checked, it's pretty much the final stop, kid.
The group was also desperate to attempt and find Vader's lightsaber, so they could destroy it, and somehow return it to him, in the afterlife. It is rather strange that this group rose up, so close to the time of the birth of Ben Solo. But what became of the Acolytes during the era of The Force Awakens? Well, a curious feature about the Acolytes is that they don masks. It is stated, by the acolyte named Oblivion, that they have to earn their masks.
You have to earn your mask.
One acolyte, Kaiza, has a mask that may sound familiar, that was given to her by Teshu.
It is their master. It is Yup Teshu. The acolytes bow to him. They gabble their glee at seeing him again after so long. He is not their only master. He is one of many, though their living masters number far fewer than their dead ones. But he is the closest they have to the Sith Empire created around Sidious and Vader. They paw at him, and he adores it, his crevice-lined face tilting back with pleasure. Kaiza does not join them. She's too afraid to do anything, even to move. It's as if she's a stack of little rocks, and if she moves, all of who she is will crumble apart and collapse. Teshu begins giving them their weapons. They were to wait for him here. He says they are special. They receive artifacts and relics from the ancient departed Sith. To some he hands dark robes. To others he gives glowing red crystals around gut leather cords. Then he turns to Kaiza. He hands her a mask. The mask is burnished bronze. The smooth metal is peppered with tiny hammered divots. The eyes are black glass. There is no nose or mouth, though where the mouth should be is a line of black rivets.
This mask should seem familiar, based on how it is described. It is a mask of one of the Knights of Ren, the loyal followers and servants of Kylo Ren, during the era of The Force Awakens. The Acolytes knew Vader was going to return, and once he did, and joined Snoke's side, they were assigned to be his followers, and became the Knights of Ren. When Kylo fell, and joined the forces of evil, Luke was no doubt devastated, as he likely knew as well, of what Kylo really was. Mark Hamill has even stated before, in an interview, that Luke once thought that Ben was the chosen one, Anakin. But his faith in him has likely been lost. He invested everything in him, but felt betrayed. Luke knows the nature of his family, he knows the power they hold, and that Kylo would be dangerous if he fell.
The Force is strong in my family. My father has it. I have it. And my sister has it.
And he did. Luke then went on a quest to figure out how to stop Snoke, a powerful Force wielder. But where would he look? The answer, naturally, is the Journal of the Wills, the same place Qui-Gon sought answers. the one place that has cataloged the Force wielders, and possibly how to defeat them. Perhaps with the Dagger of Mortis, like before. One strange anomaly in the ongoing story, however, is Rey. What is she? Who is she? Where does she come from? However, Rey is a video for another time. And so, we have finally come to the end. I would like to thank everyone who indulged in this video, as it took a lot of work. For now, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Son of Sons, signing out.